Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm always happy when I come back to the oxygen city. At least I can breathe some clean, fresh air before I go back to Accra. Let me acknowledge Our Royal Majesty, His Excellency Togbe Afede the 14th, the overlord of the Asogli State and his traditional rulers. Let me acknowledge our farmers, hard-working farmers, and especially those whom we're going to award today. I also want to thank the organizers for choosing the Volta region to host this Farmers' Day. Togbe, when he was talking, narrated a very embarrassing incident that took place in 2019 when he had been officially informed that he was going to be the chairperson of the Farmers' Day event that was taking place here in the Volta region. Just a day before the event, he was informed that he had been removed as the chairman and a new chairman had been appointed to replace him. That was the peak of partisan politics, and I'm happy that we are able to honor him today by putting him as the chairman of this great event. I've been to Volta region several times since my inauguration as president, and I have assured the people of the Volta region that as long as I remain president and the NDC remains in power, we will make sure that the Volta region always gets its fair share of the national cake. Recently, we launched the Big Push program, which the Nobody Cultural Troupe was talking about. And I must say that a good percentage of the roads that have been put under the Big Push are here in the Volta region. The regional minister recently made a tour of all the projects that we have awarded under the Big Push. And he has submitted a report to me, and his report shows that the contractors are on site. They have finished setting up their site camps, and indeed most of them have started the work. I'm sure that by the time I come back here next year or within 18 months, most of those roads will be nearing completion and we'll have the opportunity to commission them. Aside from that, we are also looking at the extension of water systems, and Ho particularly does have a problem when it comes to adequacy of water supply. We established the Adidome water treatment plant, and we finished phase 1 and phase 2, and the phase 3 was to extend the pipeline to bring water to Adaklu and to Asogli. Unfortunately, over the last 8 years, that was never carried out. And so the extra water that should have come to Ho is not available. And so we're going to continue the expansion of the Adidome water plant, and we're going to extend the water so that we are able to increase the availability of water supply here in Ho, the Volta regional capital. Aside from that, there's a critical road which is under the Big Push, and everybody has year in, year out complained about the Ho Denu Aflao road. I'm happy to note that finally work is being undertaken on this all-important road, because it's going to increase the trade between us and our neighboring country, Togo, and make us able to move goods and other services and passengers between the Volta region and our neighboring country. And so that road is of particular importance. That's why I came and cut sword on it. We have 4 contractors working on it, and each of them has a lot that they should complete. And that means that the work on the road will go faster. Even though we've given 24 months to finish the road, most of the contractors assure me that they will finish long before 24 months. And so we'll have the opportunity to come and launch the road. Aside from that, we have finally secured land for the Aflao Ashigame. I promised during the campaign that we'll build Ashigame in Aflao so that we'll have Lome Ashigame and we'll have Aflao Ashigame. We, as the Agric Minister said, we're applying science in our new agricultural policy. Because every country treasures food security. You must be able to feed your nation, feed your people, and make food affordable for them. But you can only guarantee food security if you put in place a system where you are able to do all year round agriculture. And that is why we're taking irrigation seriously. And this irrigation is not going to be irrigation that we apply only close to water bodies, but also irrigation in places that are not close to water bodies, because we can use underground water for irrigation. And so the Ministry of Agriculture is going to distribute solar water pumps. And so even if you have a 10-acre farm, we'll drill a borehole for you, we'll install a solar water pump. You don't need electricity. It will supply you water so that you can do year-round agriculture. You don't need to clear 40 acres of land. With 10 acres of land, you'll be able to produce the same amount of food that you produce on 40 acres. Because as you harvest, you are planting. As you harvest, you are planting. And so if you're able to plant and harvest 3 times a year, you can imagine the amount of food that you produce. And so government will continue to support farmers. And I particularly was impressed by our female farmers and fishers. Just that the title of your organization is a bit jaw-breaking, Gafafao. I've still been trying to learn how to say it, Gafafao. But of course, the Gafafao reflects how powerful the organization is. And I believe that they raise very important issues to do with focusing on women agriculturists who are into farming and fishing, by giving them credit to be able to produce more, and giving them the credit at the right interest rate. Currently, capital and credit that is available to our farmers is at such an interest rate that if they take a loan, they virtually will be working for the bank, not for themselves. And so one of our prime objectives is how to get credit to our farmers at the best possible rate. I saw one of the members of the Ghana National Association of Farmers and Fishermen holding a placard that said single-digit interest rate. I agree with you. Credit for agriculture must be at single-digit interest rate. And so this government is going to work to bring that interest rate below 10% so that farmers can have access to cheaper credit to be able to produce more for us to feed ourselves. I like the theme of this year's Farmers' Day because it says we should feed Ghana, we should eat Ghana in order to secure our future. As the minister said, our food import bill of about 3 billion is still too high. And so we need to grow more food for ourselves. And we can only do this if we provide a market for our farmers. It is unacceptable that suppliers of the school feeding program buy rice from Vietnam to feed our school children, when Ghanaian farmers are sitting with rice inventories from last year. And that's why I gave the recent directive that for rice, for maize, for poultry, we must ensure that at least these 3 products that we use in our school feeding program, these are procured locally from our local farmers. We must also take advantage of the science that is available. Our universities and our research institutions are producing new varieties of seeds. I'm particularly excited about a breakthrough in producing a variety of cowpea, the black-eyed beans. For those of you who like gobe, the beans they use for it. One of the major challenges is the weevil that eats into the bean. You see that sometimes when you're eating your gobe, you see one of the beans and you see a weevil in it. Our scientists have developed a version of that bean that is resistant to the penetration of the weevils. And so you're able to store it for a longer period without it going bad. And so we need to produce these seeds and commercialize them and give them to our farmers so that they can increase food production and also improve food preservation. I will soon launch the school agriculture program. We're asking all secondary schools and tertiary education institutions to have a school farm. Where they can produce their own chicken, they can produce their own livestock, goats, small ruminants, goats, sheep, and big ruminants like cattle, but also produce their own vegetables, their tomatoes, their peppers, their okra, and all the other vegetables that they eat. And so we've appointed a National School Agriculture Coordinator, and soon we shall launch that program, and I believe it will also contribute to Ghana's food security. Already you've heard of Nkukon Kitinkiti and all of it. We are distributing 3 million chickens. And each farmer who registers in the Nkukon Kitinkiti is getting 50 of those chickens. And these are not day-old chickens. They are chickens that are 4 weeks old. So they've got their vaccinations. They are already advanced in growth. You just need to keep them for another 4 to 6 weeks and they're ready to go to the market. And we don't give you only the chickens, we give you the food to feed the chickens for the 4 to 6 weeks and be able to take them to the market. The thing about agriculture is you can do another job and still be a farmer. And so teachers, nurses, doctors, civil servants, you can go to work at the same time you can have a farm to supplement your income. And so don't think that it's only the village folk and our poor fathers and mothers in the village who must be full-time farmers. When we went to launch the Nkukon Kitinkiti, there was this young man who came. And he had received, I think, 1,000 birds. And when he had finished growing them, he went to sell them, and he had made over 100,000 cedis for himself. Meanwhile, this was a trained nurse. He had finished school and not been posted yet. So he said, look, while I'm waiting for posting, let me start rearing chicken. And so they asked him, they said, okay, now that you're making 100,000 from your poultry farm at every cycle, when your posting comes, will you go and work as a nurse? And his answer was, I will think about it. Agriculture is profitable. And agriculture brings good incomes. And that's why, even as president, I am a farmer. And so everybody can be a farmer. And I encourage all my appointees, government officials, please procure some land. You can plant oil palm. If you do 10 acres of oil palm or 20 acres of oil palm, you'll be surprised that it will give you more money than the salary you take every year. And so let us all invest and be able to produce so that we can supplement our incomes. I also want to commend the US government. Recently, they have lifted the tariffs that they imposed on us for agricultural products. And so for cocoa, avocado, oranges, pepper, onions, yams, anything we export into the US market is zero tariff. We don't pay any tariff. Our current volume of trade with the US in agricultural products is about $100 million. But we can significantly raise this because of the opportunity they've given us. And so, for those of you who are into agriculture, look at the list of export items we send to the United States. And you can go and produce them so that they are exported and you're able to make some more money. And so, without much ado, I will inflict my Farmers' Day speech on you. Mercifully, it's not too long. And so it gives me immense joy and a deep sense of national pride to join you this afternoon to celebrate the 41st Farmers' Day event. This is an occasion dedicated to honoring the men and women whose toil, resilience, and ingenuity feed our nation from day to day. Today we salute our gallant farmers and fishers who remain the heartbeat of our economy and the true custodians of Ghana's food security. This year's theme, Feed Ghana, Eat Ghana, Secure the Future, captures our collective ambition to transform agriculture into a strong, competitive, and sustainable pillar of national development. For our farmers, our fishers, our processors, and value chain actors across the length and breadth of this country, on behalf of the government of the people of Ghana, I say Ayiko. Ghana is deeply grateful for your sacrifice and your dedication. Togbi Chairman, our farmers continue to persevere despite complex challenges. Climate and weather variability, production and biological risks, market fluctuation, inadequate financing, institutional limitations, and the devastating effect of environmental degradation, particularly from illegal mining practices. Global shocks have also imposed additional pressure on our agriculture. Yet amid these challenges, our farmers have continued to feed our nation and keep our economy afloat. And so for this, we owe you our profound gratitude. Togbi Chairman, food quality, accessible, and affordable food is fundamental to national survival and development. A nourished child learns better and grows healthier. A nourished workforce is more productive, and a nourished nation is a stronger nation. Although investments have been made over the years, Ghana still spends close to $3 billion annually to import basic food commodities such as rice, poultry, vegetable oils, sugar, and other processed foods. This situation is neither sustainable nor acceptable. It signals the urgency of building a bold, a resilient agricultural framework, an agenda that my government is determined to vigorously pursue. A sustained transformation of the agricultural sector requires well-designed, comprehensive, and sequenced interventions implemented with discipline and commitment. And so the Feed Ghana program, which is a flagship under the broader Agriculture for Economic Transformation agenda, embodies exactly this approach. It aims not only to modernize agriculture, but also to create jobs, reduce food inflation, foster rural industrialization, and anchor Ghana's march towards food sovereignty. Under this program, we're developing value chains in cereals, legumes, vegetables, starchy staples, tree crops, livestock, and poultry. We're expanding irrigation infrastructure, establishing farmers' service centers, increasing storage capacity, improving access to credit and insurance, and strengthening linkages in agro-processing. We're also establishing economic enclaves using public-private partnerships to facilitate large-scale agribusiness investments while incorporating smallholder farmers into inclusive value chains. When my government assumed office in January 2025, food inflation stood at 28.3%. Through targeted interventions and careful management of food systems, I'm pleased to report that food inflation has decreased significantly to 9.5% by October 2025. And this is a notable improvement from the 22.8% recorded at exactly this period in October last year. This achievement reflects the impact of deliberate and well-targeted measures, such as the procurement and distribution of 50,000 metric tons of fertilizer and 3,000 metric tons of hybrid maize and rice seeds to farmers, including national institutions such as the National Service Authority, the Prison Service, faith-based institutions, and secondary and tertiary educational institutions. The rehabilitation and expansion of irrigation infrastructure under the Irrigation for Wealth Creation initiative, with 3,520 hectares under active development at Hueta, Ashaman, Aveime, Ochiriko, and Dawinya. Also significant progress in the Afram Plains Economic Enclave, where 3,220 hectares of irrigation infrastructure is at various stages of completion. We've also completed 15 out of the 250 earmarked solar-powered boreholes to support vegetable cultivation in farming communities and second-cycle schools. If you watched, I think it was last week, we launched the Vegetable Development Program, and we launched it in Ahafo region with 60 hectares of land. And we're drilling boreholes on all the 60 hectares, and the farmers will have solar water pumps with poly tanks to be able to grow vegetables all the year round. We're coming to Volta region next. So those of you interested in joining the Vegetable Development Program, you have to register, and when we come, you can participate in this program. To empower smallholder farmers, the Feed Ghana program is establishing 50 farmer service centers, and Volta region will get its fair share of the farmer service centers. With agreements finalized for the supply of 5,500 agricultural machines. These include tractors, harvesters, rice mills, sprayers, and cassava processors. The government has also supported 120 individuals and AMSECs with mechanization equipment to enhance land preparation harvesting, storage, and market access. To address the glut that occurs by increased production, the government released 100 million Ghana cedis to the National Buffer Foods Company to absorb the excess produce, with a further 200 million approved for the year 2026. Partnerships with private processors such as Farm Mate Tomato Company and the Tomato Women's Association are ensuring that vegetables and other produce produced on the farm are taken off directly at the farm gate for processing. As I said, I've also directed all service providers under the school feeding program, all security agencies, all state-funded feeding programs must procure their food items locally. And all of us must be watchdogs of this. I urge citizens to report institutions that fail to comply with this directive. These measures are to ensure that no Ghanaian farmer suffers losses due to surplus production. In the medium to long term, government will build modern pack houses and aggregation centers to reduce post-harvest losses. We're also strengthening links between farmers' cooperatives and processors to secure raw material supply and minimize waste. And so I wish to encourage all farmers groups, if you haven't formed your cooperative yet, better start forming your cooperative. So far, we have registered almost 70,000 cooperatives across the country. Government assistance is not going to go to individual farmers. Government assistance is going to be applied through cooperatives. So those of you who haven't cooperativized yourself yet, please start creating your cooperatives. This year, we increased efforts to rebuild Ghana's poultry sector through the Nkokon Kitten Household and Backyard Poultry Initiative. Over 13,000 farmers in 12 districts have received 720,000 birds. Support extends to 50 anchor farmers and 500 medium-scale farmers, as well as households nationwide. The government is collaborating with the private sector to establish modern poultry processing plants in different parts of the country to ensure secure market access, enhance value addition, and create jobs. And for those of you who watched, I think it was last week, I commissioned the first of these processing plants in Bichim in the Ahafo region. To ensure scalability, coordination, and inclusivity, over 70,000, this is just what I talked about, community, commodity-focused farmers cooperatives representing 710,000 farmers have been registered and integrated into all our major agricultural interventions. This cooperative model enhances bargaining power, it promotes fair pricing, and strengthens collective problem solving. Talk Chairman, to feed Ghana, we must also eat Ghana. We cannot import what we can grow, and therefore we're promoting a strong natural culture of supporting Ghanaian rice, Ghanaian poultry, Ghanaian yams, fruits and vegetables, cooking oil, and cassava products. This is essential if we are to achieve food sovereignty and agricultural profitability. Building a resilient agricultural sector requires climate-smart approaches, strong risk management systems, and investment in research, innovation, and agroecological practices. Government is therefore strengthening collaboration with our development partners, financial institutions, and the private sector to make agriculture a viable and attractive livelihood for future generations. Let me extend our profound gratitude to our partners, IFAD, AGRA, GIZ, KFW, WFP, JICA, FAO, KOICA, AFD, and AFDB, and finally the World Bank, and also the governments of Italy, Norway, the Netherlands, and Canada for their invaluable support. To our banks, especially Agricultural Development Bank, which is my bank, for those of you who want to know, Exim Bank, and Stanbic Bank, to our farmers' unions, researchers, and private sector partners, Ghana appreciates you. To the Honorable Minister, Honorable Eric Opoku, and his team of dedicated staff at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, I say Ayiko. You remain the backbone of this agricultural transformation that is taking place in our country today. As we celebrate our farmers and fisherfolk, let us renew our collective resolve to feed Ghana is to invest in Ghana, to eat Ghana is to believe in Ghana, and to secure the future is to work together, government, private sector, communities, and citizens for a food secure, resilient, and prosperous nation. As I conclude, let us honor our farmers, celebrate their achievements, and dedicate ourselves to supporting them at every turn. And so on this occasion, to all our farmers and fishers, I say, Ayiko, you are the real heroes of Ghana's progress. And so on this day, I have the honor and privilege to launch this year's National Farmers Day. May God bless our farmers and fishers. May God bless Ghanaian agriculture. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Let's give it up for him once again.